Hello and welcome to another segment of Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. Friends, in this segment, we bring those guests who influence our lives. This includes elected officials, policymakers, heads of major organizations, and other dignitaries. It is my sincere hope that the knowledge brought in by these guests will help our community. Today, we have a different type of guest. She is an actress of short films in New York. Her name is Jyoti Singh. Let's meet Jyoti. Jyoti Singh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time. Thank you for coming from, driving in from Manhattan today this morning, and appreciate taking time. First, what we normally start with our guest is your background. So let's go with your background. What did you do, and when did you come to US, and the kind of thing.
I was born in Dehradun.
Okay.
And my father was in the border roads, so he pretty much traveled. I was raised with my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother in the house. And we came in 1987, and then since then we have been here in North Carolina.
Okay.
And then I got married and I moved to New York with my husband, and we have been here since 2003.
Okay.
And I always wanted to act, and my parents always told me like, no, girls from our families don't do that. So it was just like, no. And then so I went for my second passion, which is helping people. So I took the path of being a nurse. So I did nursing, and I finished my nursing degree, bachelor's. And after that I moved to New York, and since then I started taking acting classes. And on the side I also did like train in singing. I did every Saturday morning. I would go for singing. I loved singing, so that was my other thing. And while I worked for a speech pathologist, and doing all this on the side. And then as we went along, we also opened a nonprofit. My sister, me, and one of our friends' husband, and we basically did the homeless drive. And we did like we went to Africa. We got a project in Africa. So our goal is that we go and visit the place, and we'll support a project. And if they don't respond to us or something, we won't give any money to that cause unless there's a correspondence. And we have some ongoing projects, some short-term projects. The idea is just like help as much as you can. You cannot help the whole world, but you can try by giving a little bit here and there. So that's what we did. And then I was doing acting. I was training in acting, and it was supposed to be a hobby. I never thought that it would go far. And interestingly, there was a course in Hicksville with Roshan Taneja and Tom Alter, and I took the course with them. It was a very intense summer course for acting. And right after that, I did 2 auditions. I got both the roles. One was a supporting role. That movie is supposed to be in film festivals this year. And I got 9/11, which was the lead role. And before that, I did small roles here and there, but nothing major. And in 2012, the movie 9/11 did very well in film festivals, and we got like 8 awards for the film. So I guess that was more like film festivals make people aware of what's happening, which actors are there, who are good, who are bad. So that's how the directors pick you. There are a lot of directors in film festivals watching these films, so sometimes they pick the actors through that. So I did get a role recently through that, just somebody watching my film, like me acting in it. Without any audition, I got the film, which I cannot talk about. So hopefully see it by next year.
Oh,
so,
okay, great.
So that was my journey, like in the whole process of my field and what extra things I do.
So you guys moved in '87 with the whole family, with
your
parents.
With the whole family. My dad came a little later because he was about to retire, so he would get his pensions. He came a little later.
Okay.
We lived in Smithfield, North Carolina, which is a very small town.
Okay.
And then we moved to Cary, which is a bigger town, and that's where we went to college. And along that process, I met my husband too. So mine was sort of like love come arranged. It was not like a arranged marriage, anything like that.
It was not an arranged marriage.
No.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
what did you do in education? Like, what is your background in education? What did you school?
I did nursing. I graduated in nursing, and I didn't pursue nursing because my husband is a doctor, and it was like too much, like both of us being so busy.
Right.
And so once I got married, I just came here and worked for a speech pathologist. Before that, I worked for a psychiatrist in North Carolina, mostly doing all the medical side of work for her, like ordering prescription drugs, patient assistance programs where patients who don't have money, how to get their medications. So I would work on that. So I think I have pretty much like done everything that I wanted to in my lifetime. It might be later, or whatever, but my goal of helping people or acting, it's like not at the same time I wanted to, but I've been doing it. So
you've
this
been-
year I went to Haiti at least 2-3 weeks ago, and
yeah.
we helped out this patients, TB patients, and we went to this clinic where Dr. Coffee, she has started this clinic, and she has no funding, so we took some medications there, and we spent like an hour and two just helping out, and that's the most surreal experience. It's like very real, like what you see on documentaries is what I saw in real life, and it's amazing, how many people need help. And so I think that's one of the other things that I always do, and in my mind, back of my mind, whatever we can do in small way, just help them out.
Wow, wow.
So,
How
yeah.
do you pick these places to go to? Like,
Most of them I have
do they
connections.
contact us?
No, most of them I have had connections. I'll ask people, what's the good project that I can do, and I'll go and check out the place. Like in India, I've been to like a kids program that we did not support in Chennai. It was basically a human rights camp
Okay.
where kids learned, the difference between male and female. At 7th grade, there was a camp that they taught them, and about morals and science and how to respect each other. And I thought it was such a good program, and actually went there, but it was a lot, and we don't raise as much funds. Then there was like Farmer Suicide, a movie made by Harpreet Kaur, which was a documentary, and she had gone to India, spent time where farmers had committed suicide in Punjab, and she went there, she spent time there, she made this film, and she took all these kids to Delhi to try to get justice for them. And they show the whole thing in the movie, which is amazing. It's called A Little Revolution,
Ah.
A Little Revolutionary. And what I did with my nonprofit, we actually screened that film here in NYU, and we were able to get some funding. So I actually support a kid, and I've got 2 other people who are supporting a kid yearly, which helps the whole family. It's just not the kid. But you can go visit the kid in Punjab. You can, so there's like several small projects like that we have done. And there's like another thing with abuse, where cops were abusing in Tamil Nadu. So we saw these safe haven places and how they work on it. We went there and checked that out. So there are a lot of stuff like that I've done, just like through people, connections that I've known. And I'll just go to these places. And then we went to Calcutta. And saw like these kids' place where I thought that I'll go support, but again, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does, and just do whatever you can. So
Wow, so you have to go there, and you go there and do all
that's
these
the idea, because a lot
investigation?
of people never wanted to donate without knowing where the money is going.
Right.
So I think the idea is that you go and check out the place and see for real if that's happening. I've actually gone to Vrindavan and spent time at least a week in Vrindavan at Widow Center, and I spent like the time, it's called Madham, and I spent time there, just talking to the ladies out there. I didn't have much to do because they all would cook together, they all would live together, and just asking about the life experiences. And it was like how they came there, how they ended up there.
Wow.
And it was amazing that a lot of people were just left away once the son died, or the husband died. The kids just sent them there or left them out there, and they just reached this place. And so what we do is we do the 3-month supply yearly for the food, which is nothing compared to what we spend out here.
And
So-
these are all like basically, they also depend on the public funding or something.
Yeah,
the
I mean, most of
donations,
them,
donations,
yes,
right?
Yes, yes,
most of them.
definitely. Yeah, definitely, yes.
And Haiti also same thing. Through
Same thing, because
connections, something.
she works for the government, but when I went there, I was shocked. Like it's like
Yeah.
the computer system is bad, even in the airport. It's not as advanced as we have. Even in
Right.
India, it's advanced now, but Haiti is not that advanced, and
Right.
it was pretty surprising. And it's like. There's nothing there. The hospital was like literally like an old building, and where these patients were hanging around was just a like camp, like a little hut or something, and they're just there. So basically, it's just like a small little camp tent, actually a tent. It's a small little tent. You go inside, you wear a mask, and you take care of these patients. And they can only, so some of them cannot eat, some of them look like skeletons, and it's like they're feeding them protein shakes, and making the shakes right there. So it's and they don't have a lot of facility there. They don't have a lot of, even with the straw that I fed the protein shake to each patient, we used one straw. We used two different straws. We used one bottle for the same protein shake to each person. I mean, they're that limited in supplies, and I guess we don't realize that, and sometimes we just don't realize until you go and see the actual situation of the area. So I think that's what helps to support a project. You have to go and visit and see exactly, and then it goes. What we do is it directly goes to the actual place. We don't go through organizations or anything like that. So
So
we are usually doing disaster relief for something. We'll give something small, but that we go through an organization, because we cannot go to every disaster relief area.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
right.
so
Yeah. So you go there and you help them out, and this all the money that you raise goes there right away.
Yes.
You don't. There is no intermediary people there.
Not really. I mean, so far we haven't done that. No.
Okay.
I'll go through an organization, so I know that's the real organization. So they're going to give it for that cause. So yeah.
What is the name of your
We
organization?
call it RVP Charitable Organization. So if you go on the website, it's www.rvpco.com. I still haven't updated the Haiti project, but yeah, most of the stuff is updated. And people can donate out there if they want to. And it's like it's listed all our projects we've done so far, the ongoing projects, and so.
And it's with your sister. You started.
It's with my sister. My husband helped out a little bit. He's more like a volunteer. A lot of my friends have helped out. Like that's how we've got some projects. It's basically a person we trust who goes to these certain locations and will do something, supporting the project. As long as you have pictures, you can prove what you're doing. So, so yeah. And then this friend of ours, Hassan, and we've had several people who volunteered, come and helped us and gone. Kind of like
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. There are many doctor groups here, right? They do go for similar thing. They go like some other countries
yes,
or
yes,
wherever,
a lot of those,
and they
yeah.
help like for a week or 2 weeks,
That's
something
true.
like
That's
that.
true. That does happen a lot. Yes.
That
But you have
happens
to
a
have
lot.
some kind of training because if you don't have that training and
Right.
skills,
Right.
you're not going to be of much help to people. So
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Since your background was nursing, you could help a lot better than
a little bit, but
I
like,
can't do anything except
Yeah.
maybe sing them maybe or something.
Well,
I can't do anything.
Sometimes they need just help, just lifting the patient, taking them, to a different location, or just doing some exercise. That's easier. We can do
Right,
that.
right.
But even in Haiti, my husband couldn't change the NG tubes or anything like that because he's not licensed there. So
Oh.
there's also these, laws that you cannot surpass them.
Oh,
So-
you mean over there are certain laws over
Yeah,
there?
yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
Oh.
it depends on every country.
Depends upon every country.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep, yep.
So-
A friend of mine, she also goes to South Africa. I'm not African countries actually,
Oh, okay.
for helping people and that kind of thing for a week
Yeah,
or two.
because I went to first time, the way I started was first time I went to, I don't know if you know the Hugging Saint, Mata Amritanand, so I went to her ashram several years back and I volunteered right after tsunami. I volunteered in a little hospital in the ashram, behind the ashram, and there were like a lot of people who had lost kids who were there, a lot of people who were injured, and I used to go change dressing and stuff like that. But there, you're allowed to do it as long as you have some training. But depends, like I said, depends on the law and legal system. So.
So when you go there, where do you stay? I'm just asking you this question because there are a lot of young people who are watching this show. They
Yeah.
are they want to do this kind of service. They want to do volunteer work,
So.
and the logistic would be a big issue for
Well,
them.
it depends. So in Mata, the ashram that I
Right.
went to, you stay in the ashram, so it's safe. You're in a safe environment.
Okay.
And if you were going to her hospital, which is AIMS in Kerala, there's another way of housing. I think it's cheap, where you pay. You have to pay because they're still raising funds to survive. So,
Right.
and then Haiti, what we did was, actually I found out, we stayed in a hotel, but I found out that there was a place where you actually, if you're going to help out these organizations, you actually stay with a lot of people. It's like a hostel, and you stay in that area, and then the van picks you up and takes you and brings you back.
Oh,
So every facility has. When I did Madham, I stayed in the area, exactly in the same location in Madham, and when I helped out. So I was in the place, so it was safe. It was gated community. So it's not like, so I've always been to safe places. I've never been to when I did Cochin, when I did Kerala, not Kerala, sorry, Tamil Nadu, the car picked me up from where I was staying and took me to the locations and brought me back.
Okay.
So they always make sure it's safe because they know you're not from here. They know you're
Right,
going to have
right.
issues, and we don't know how to talk to the people. I don't even know the language.
Yeah,
so.
that's right. Yeah.
So yeah,
and,
so, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know Hindi, but I don't know everything else. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now then you came here, and with this is like taking majority of your time now. Between acting and this,
Now
right?
it's mostly
Obviously.
acting. It's mostly acting.
Mostly acting.
Mostly acting, but this thing I'll do at least something once a year, something small even. But I do
okay.
something once a year. But otherwise, it's mostly acting now. I don't work anymore, and luckily because my husband works, and I don't work. And this acting, the thing is, like a lot of people think they want to be actors, and the thing is, you have to realize to start off somewhere, you have to spend money, and then once you get to a certain point, you might get paid. But a lot of things you don't get paid for when you're trying to make it. You just
Right.
don't. And it's like you pretty much are trying to make it, and you have to spend money on yourself to promote yourself, and like to get your headshots. That's the first thing you have to do. If you don't have a headshot, you won't even get any kind of acting gig. And then, of course, you have to have the craft. You have to know the craft. So if you have no training, a lot of people think they can act. But then, commercials are different. The way you would be in commercial hosting is different. And then acting is totally different. And it's like, there are 3 different parts, and then theater is even different. So there are like 4 different things, and you can just go on and on and on. Everything is the way you act, the way you talk, the way you do things is different. So you have to just know your craft, and that's how, and sometimes no matter what, like you might be perfect for the role, but they'll say, well, you're not the look we are looking for. And you're like, okay, so you don't get the role. So you just have to accept that fact. And
so how do you promote yourself?
Well, I started with 9/11, the movie that won several awards, and basically, it's screened in India for 1 week, and but it didn't go anywhere because by that time the producer didn't realize there was so much money will go, and he was from the U.S., so he had no idea how things happen in India, and it went nowhere. And so I just took it upon myself, and I said, look, why don't I submit to film festivals? Because that was one of my best works, I thought. And I said, why don't I submit to film festivals? And some of my actors and people, crew helped me, and we just submitted to film festivals, and it won 8 awards. And to have like an award-winning film in your background, it really helps. It promotes you, it gets you out there. And a lot of when I went to classes in New York City studios, they told me you have to promote yourself. Nobody helps you. Nobody does anything for you. You have to do it yourself. So I said, okay. So they said, they teach you like, oh, promote yourself. You're going for an audition on Facebook or whatever media thing you have. And I never liked doing that, but apparently that's what you have to do. So
nowadays that's a bigger portion than when doing anything else.
Yes, that's true. That's
right?
true.
You
Yes.
got to be involved there.
Yes, that's true. And
really
then I went to India this past year, and I did. I basically acted in Fear Files and Adalat one of the things like last year,
Oh,
end
Adalat.
of last year, in this time frame, December, January. So,
Oh, okay.
like, so I've seen like both sides of I haven't gone to Bollywood, but I've seen the whole acting kind of the way it works.
Yeah, I think acting in Bollywood, it's really a different ball game. It is really competitive field because we had Javed Jafri here,
Yes.
and he mentioned. We were talking about it, and it's very, very competitive. Especially what we were talking about is if you have your father or somebody in
Yeah.
that in that circle, you get a better chance. Otherwise,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
definitely.
easy.
Definitely, that's one thing for sure. Like the only reason I did Adalat or Fear Files was because my cousin is the producer of the show. Now, he told me, look, you don't live here, so I can't really offer you anything else. If you lived here, then maybe I could offer you a role.
Right.
But of course, he's not putting anybody just he knows. He's seen my work. It's not like he's just like, yeah, just do it. But because you don't want to promote those shows, he's very successful in his shows. So there's no way he would do that. But but yeah, I think a lot of time connections do help, and that's the way things work in India. Here it's like you do have to struggle. Here you do have to, audition. It's not like you're just going to get a role. So you have to do all that here. So
Yeah, over
especially
there.
for the American media.
Right.
India, if you still know, a lot of people will see your film and say, okay, she's perfect, for my film. So that's the way
Who you
sometimes
know.
it works. Yeah.
In India, it's who you know. Casting is very important also, right? Like
Yes.
we had a couple of independent filmmakers here on the show, right?
Yes.
And the casting is kind of a very important portion of the whole. First is script, and then you go to casting, and after casting is done, then you really start shooting and all that kind of thing.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's
It
how
takes
the
a long
process.
time. Some people have taken like 2 to 3 years because by the time you get done with the script and you have to change it like 5, 6 different times before you
Right.
can get the perfect one.
Right.
And then you start casting and you have to find the exact person you think will deliver what you want them to deliver.
Right, exactly.
And then, of course, then it's post-production after the film is made. So the filming and then post-production is even editing, sound has to be okay, everything has to be worked out, music. So yes, it takes a very long time to do a full feature or even a short film.
Long, right? I know
Yes.
it's a process.
Yes, that's
and
right.
when we go to the movie, we always see, oh yeah, nice, that kind
Yes.
of, that's it. And what
Yeah,
goes
yes,
behind the
that's-
scene?
Well, yeah, and a lot of times, I remember growing up watching films. I never even cared about directors.
Right.
I never even cared about
Right, exactly.
who worked in the background, the crew, which
Oh, yep,
is
yep.
always forgotten. And they're the ones who do the hard work. Like, how is the camera angle? Are you looking good? Is the
Right,
actor looking
right.
good? Is the lighting good? Sound? Everything has to be added on. And a lot of times we don't think about that when we are watching film. We just put down the film and say, oh, this is bad, and the actors, it's not good. And we're not even thinking about what it took them to do this hard work and get there. So.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I was like that too. I mean, if you don't know that, like if we don't know business field, we're going to do whatever we have to, what we see. We're not going to see the behind what happens behind the scenes. So, it's something to. So I understand that perspective because I've been there, but a lot of times I tell people don't think it's so easy, making a film or doing it because it's very hard.
Yes.
A lot of times people don't even make it. Like my cousin is an actor, Jyoti Singh. You've probably heard him, seen him in matches. He told me like a lot of his films didn't even release. They finished it, but they never released.
They never
and
got
it happens
released,
a lot of times.
That happens a lot of them. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that either. Like you sign a film, you work through it, you get to the point, and it just doesn't happen. And so
that's painful though.
Yeah, that's painful because imagine the director, the producer who lost money, but for some reason it just doesn't, and it's like something goes wrong.
Wow.
There are a lot of internal issues that every field has that. A lot of times that happens in film sets, which people don't realize what it took to get there. It's like a lot of fights. Everything happens. And
wow, interesting.
So a lot of times, like the crew might not get along. You just never know. So it's like one of those things that we never think about what's happening behind the scenes.
Right.
So
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Sure.
Please stay with us. Welcome to Interviews That Matter. I'm your host Raj Mehta. We are having a conversation with Jyoti Singh. She's an actress and she has made some movies. Now we're going to talk about actually her current project and the future project. So now current project that I've heard is called Samosa.
Yes.
So let's talk about Samosa. How did you get this name Samosa, number one, and what is in the film?
Okay, so basically the name Samosa was I actually wasn't involved in that process. It was the writer, the director. They were chatting and they sort of came up with the name Samosa, and I was like, in my mind I'm like, oh, come on, who's going to think, why have we naming it Samosa? And then the whole thing was like, the minute, we put the poster up, we had so many questions that people asked me, why is the name Samosa? I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting, that people are actually interested in watching Samosa. And sometimes they say the name is the key. Basically, it's a comedy, but it's based on actual events, and it's a short film. The idea was like just to show what happened, because we thought it was so interesting. And it's actually my sister coming to moving to Queens when she had lost her job, when the whole crisis happened. And there was an instant that she stayed for 6 months with this person, and the whole experience of hers was like, we were like, every time we told people, everybody was so shocked, and even we were shocked, like, wow, somebody would do that, somebody would do that. So what we thought was to make it light, instead of making it such a rough kind of experience, and making it like light and funny, because it sounds very funny, and most of the stuff actually did happen. There are a few things that we added here and there, but it actually happened, and it's funny in the sense like, really, people actually live like that, really people actually say these things. And so it was like we were laughing, so we were like, oh, we're going to make a film out of it. We thought about it for almost a year, and then finally, like, I had like nothing going on for the certain month, so I was like, let's make this film. And so I kept telling my sister, write your script, because you went through the experience, and as the time goes by, you lose half the things, and I think she did lose half of the stuff that happened. But the idea was just to make something fun, and as me as an actress, I continue to do something, like at least every month I do something like small, either singing or something related. I'll do something. So so we decided to do that. We got our director, his name is Vic Krishna, and I met him through 9/11, and I think he does an excellent job, because recently I also acted with Pooja Batra in Sherlock's Eye, and I met him again in DC. So this was supposed to be a TV series. It was supposed to go to India, but I don't know where it is right now. But so we decided, okay, let's make a film. And so he came from DC, and we did it in New York. We got my friend's apartment, we decorated it the way we thought, would be totally typical Indian look. And we just shot the film, and it was over the weekend. It was just last month, actually. It was over the weekend, and we thought it would be 2 days, Saturday, Sunday. It ended up being like Monday also. And none of us had sleep. Actually, if you see the film, you're like, wow, we all look so tired, because none of us had sleep, and we just went every single day, because the shoot was not over. And to set the whole thing stage again in somebody's apartment, and just going through the whole process was
Right.
painful enough. So we're like, let's just finish it while we are here. Let's just get it done. So literally 3 sleepless nights, and we just finished the whole it was a short project. But
3 days you finished the whole thing?
Yeah, it was a short film, but yeah, we did, and we were surprised because usually you cannot do 30 pages in
Right.
3 days, and
Right.
then you edit a lot too out of
Right,
it. But
right.
it was like, most of it we did improv, like sort of just right on the spot dialogues. But we had the major script where we looked at the script and we knew exactly how to follow it, and the director was amazing because what he did was he did the lighting. He did the camera, he did the sound, he did everything, and later on we were like, wow, yeah, we should have got somebody else. I asked him, do you want somebody else, to help out? And he's like, yeah. So we were all just doing the whole action take, everything by ourselves, and but it ended up being like, it's a fun project, that's what I would say.
Wow.
And sometimes a lot of people see me like more like a serious role they saw 9/11, and they cannot see me doing comedy. So it's more like, now they'll see me doing comedy. So
you
it's
can
sort
laugh
of-
too, right?
Yeah, so different character, different kind of,
Right.
Yeah, so let's see.
Interesting. So where can people see Samosa? Because
Right now we are submitting to, so basically the way it works is we're still working on the
Yeah.
music a little bit. We have done halfway through,
Okay.
but we're submitting to film festivals, and
Okay.
hopefully some film festival will pick it up where they can watch it. And once, short films basically have a very short lifespan, I would say, because they don't, after film festivals, they either go to YouTube or Vimeo or one of those, because it's not like it has a market outside
Okay.
for short films. So we're hoping that some film festival will pick it up, and let's see. It's just the process is just starting. So I mean, since we just shot it, it's like you still need time to finish the editing. We're done with the editing now, and now the music is almost halfway done, and I've already started submitting to film festivals. So let's see where it goes from here.
So how do you generate money?
This
Out of
project
this?
would actually not generate money.
Okay.
What it does is, if somebody says, oh, well, some producer or director sitting there and says, why don't we make a full feature? And they want to pick up the project and say, why don't you make it a full feature? And then you can. A lot of times people do it as a pitch, a short film.
Okay.
We had no intention of that. It was more just like showing what happened. But if it comes to that, yeah, maybe we will. But it was just like just bringing it out, letting people see what happened, and in film festivals, like I said, they're producers, directors who are watching you, and
Right.
sometimes they just look at you and say, oh, we can cast in our film, kind of like that's the idea too behind it.
Okay,
So,
got you.
yeah.
So promotion, basically.
It's basically promotion, and in a way promotion, in a way that you're also acting, you're continuing your
Right.
skills, you're just not giving up. And usually, I would do a very purposeful film, like the film in the future that we plan to make. But this was more like, just something fun to do. And this year I had not done anything, like last year, 2012 was 9/11 in the film festivals.
Right.
So you have to, keep yourself going. You cannot just stop somewhere.
Right,
So,
right.
so it's like, and I've done a lot of work, but everything takes, like I said, sometimes post-production takes a year. So even though I've done films or something like that, it's not coming out till, like even the project that I did in DC recently, I don't know what's happening to it. So a lot of times, like they say, things happen, but then it never comes out. So
Wow.
you have to find a way to bring yourself out again, because people don't, it's like Shah Rukh Khan. He'll keep making a movie, so people don't forget him.
Right.
It's more like that, okay? We are not like Shah Rukh Khan.
Right.
People, independent actors and cinema makers and all, we're not as known. So how do you keep people interested in you? How do you keep people like saying, okay, this person still exists. They've not gone somewhere. So that's the way you do it. You just sort of say, I'm still here, I'm still doing these things, and keeps you going, basically.
And short film means how short?
It could be anywhere from 5 minutes, which is interesting. Anywhere from 5 minutes to like 60 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But like ours is like between, so far we have it 28 minutes. We might add a few scenes back on, which we had to delete it. And
Okay.
it can go as much as 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. So
So-
40 minutes and that's it.
That's
So
it.
it never comes on theaters anyway.
Usually
There is a
no.
difference between independent films and short films, I believe.
Independent films are, like, independent filmmakers are the ones who are making short films. And even like a lot of student filmmakers who come out and graduate and they have like nothing going on for them, they'll make these films so people actually look at them. People actually go, and film festivals where people actually find the star cast
Right,
a lot of times.
right,
It's like theater. A lot of times people will do plays and they'll invite the directors to come and watch them. Why? Because directors will be like, wow, she's pretty good, and they'll say, okay, come and audition for us, and they'll take you in their films. And that's how a lot of these Hollywood actors have made it. They actually went to theater. They actually acted in front of the theater. Whereas times are changing now, and everybody's making these short films, or they have these web series going on. So people pick a look at the web series and say, "Oh, this actor's pretty good." So that's the idea behind it. Nowadays, it's more like, before you had to do every mailing. Mailing is gone too. It's like everything's becoming so computerized and so online that that's the only way you can promote yourself nowadays.
So, since your husband is a doctor and you have a pretty good income, you don't have to worry about money actually. But people who really want to go into this as a career, what would your advice be into that?
Well, like I've learned from Professor Taneja Tamal, they said the same thing to a lot of people. Your kids, you want to join films, but remember, always have a backup plan, because you never know. Like, my husband will only support me to a certain extent, because, this field is not money-making field unless you become like a big star. So you have to have, some way of gaining income. So they always recommend that you do have a college degree, you do go to school, you do work somewhere else. And a lot of the people I know who act right now, like my friend Gideon, he works full-time, and his movie just released in India. So the thing is, like, they still work, they have full-time jobs, and most of the shootings happen, especially for Indian people, not the Hollywood, but most of the Indian thing. Most of the films happen on weekends, shootings, because everybody's working. So you don't really have to give up your career. And then say if there's a film that you really want to be a part of, like 9/11 that we did for a month and a half, full feature. A lot of people who worked took time off. They planned it ahead of time, and they took that time off as a vacation time, to take time off or leave without pay, so they could act, because that's their passion too. So I think it depends on something, but a lot of people have jobs and actually do it.
Okay, so primary career is difficult, right? That's what you're,
Difficult
it's not that
until
easy.
you make it, or unless you.
It's not easy. It's not an easy road, basically.
It's not easy, and you have to know your craft.
There's a lot of competition out there.
There's a lot of competition, and unless you know your craft, like a lot of people don't even have any training, and they go there to audition and they don't know, it's like, and not everybody gets all the roles, but you go for an audition, you at least have to know, what you're doing. Otherwise, you can be like, when I first started, I was a shy person, and looking back at myself and seeing what I used to be and how I've come so far, it's like, wow, I could even act like that. I couldn't even imagine myself, because I remember the first class I took, I was so shy. When I look at the videos, I cannot believe it. And the way I learned is by movement class. It's basically opening yourself up, and it was with Tom Alter. And it's like they made us do a dance. Like, basically, you think of a story related to a topic, and they gave us music. So I did Ravi Shankar's music, and you basically imagined how you would do it in a dance format. And I'm not a dancer, and so he was like, you don't have to be a dancer, just actions. So we all had to do it alone, and it was recorded, and I did it, and he really liked the part that I made Rangoli, because I did life, the way it moves, starting from birth through my actions till the death.
Oh, okay.
So everybody, sort of did, but I did it through Ravi Shankar's music, and that was the way I did it, and that really opened me up, because you're doing it in front of like 10, 15 students, and finally, you don't even know how to dance, but you're just dancing, and it's like letting yourself go, and that's what I think was the first time I realized that this shyness and all won't get you far, because you have to let it go. You have to say, then you have to look at other people and say, well, they do it, why can't I do it? Sort of have to make yourself stronger to be in that field. So it takes, it takes a lot of work. It's not like you're just there and you get in. Some people get lucky. Some people just get a role because they're beautiful, but it doesn't always happen. Nowadays, people are looking for the craft. They just don't want, So it just depends what they're looking for.
There are brokers also involved, right, in this, because we had Kevin Arbott, and he said there are brokers who really can get you or promote you.
So basically, they're managers. They call them managers, and they call them agents. I don't, and I don't have an agent, and that's what my work is when I come back from India, because I don't want to start it in the middle. And basically, if you have an agent, yes, to get into the Hollywood thing is easier, because I might get submit for the same interview through the websites, but I won't get the audition, whereas people who have agents get in faster, because the agents are connected with the casting agencies.
Exactly.
And so it is an easier route, and those are the paying gigs, basically. And so for that, you do have to have an agent. So that does help, definitely, like a Verizon. A lot of these Verizon ads, they're looking for Indian people all the time, but if you don't have an agent, I've submitted so many times, I've never gone to an audition, whereas like people who have agents, they're going. They're in the same rank as I am. So
Right.
so that's one thing you do learn. And
they have contacts, connection, learn. They know exactly who are people and all that kind of thing, right? So obviously,
well, in the American media, you might have a contact, but that doesn't always work either. So you have to go through the casting, because ultimately, the casting agent picks you. Then they show it to the director. The director then decides which one they want to call. They call you again for a second look.
Oh, okay.
And then they decide, okay, do they want you? After the second look, they decide out of 2 or 3 people that they've picked, who's the best one for the actual role. And that's the way it works. And then they call you for fitting, and all that stuff goes on. But yeah.
Do you want to talk about your new project?
Sure. So basically, it's called Humble Princess, and it's again written by my sister, and it's a screenplay, which that's how it gets to the movie making format, and we always wanted to make a feature, and it's about my grandmother. Actually, it's about her life story.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's about 2 royalties, and this story has not been shown yet. And the idea was to just bring something out that's not shown. It's an inspiration to a lot of women, because we show women from 1920s,
Okay.
and the women, sort of like in a way, you also can compare to your life. And I play the lead role in this film, and we also have Jyoti Singh who will be playing. I asked him, and he said he would love to do it, playing one of the Maharajas. So the idea was again to have it in English, even though it would sound much better in Hindi, because it's like the palace, the terminology, and periodic film. But we want it to be open to American audience, so they can understand everything. And I mean, there are movies made like that, like Mira and all. They make films like that.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog, like even like I think Kama Sutra was made by.
Yeah.
That was also like in English, and it's fine, And I think it attracts a lot of American audience, and so. I think that's the idea behind it. So a lot of people saying don't do that. I'm like, why not? It's like just try something new.
Can you make 2 versions?
We could make it 2 versions. Let's see how it does in the first version. That's the thing. It's like you can have like as many thoughts. Right now we don't have a producer, but we're going to still start the earlier process, the pre-process at this point, and then we're going to reserve the place where we're going to shoot. We might start half of the shooting, at least my parts. And then, we might continue it later. So it just depends on how things work out. We're starting a Kickstarter soon. So, and if somebody wants to pick up the project, look at it, that can also happen in this time frame. So let's see, I think it's a project that we've always wanted to do, and we're going to do it, regardless of where it goes. And then, of course, we want to spend more money on distribution, because that's where a lot of money goes, and that's how the movie gets ahead.
Marketing, basically.
So, excuse me?
Marketing,
yes.
Yeah,
Marketing,
key,
distribution, yes. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a long process, it's going to be a long haul. It will at least take a year, because with shooting and then the post-production, I mean, look at American films, they go for 5 years before they come out. So, I think that'll take time with the music, and music has to be special. It just cannot be like any music. So, let's see.
So when you say, let's see, somebody picks up, producer picks up, like what do you mean by that?
Like what happens is somebody
anybody can pick up, or
no, somebody sees the project, they might want to read the script before they say, okay, I can support the project. I want to give some financial money for it, and they might look at the project.
So investors, basically.
Investors, yes.
That's what you mean.
They might say like, I wanted to look at it, and you sort of like, if they do and they like it, they'll be the producer, they'll pay for the whole thing, and we will work hard to get that product to them that's ready to go. And they might want to say, okay, we want to distribute it in India only, or want to do it in here only, and so then those things come into question, and we decide how we want to go.
So
move forward.
producer is basically the investor.
Investor, yes.
Basically, right?
Basically, and then there's a production team that does the majority of the work, like organizing everything and taking care of everything in the background. So yeah.
So did your parent watch any movie? Like 9/11, they must have watched all this.
It was interesting because I curse a lot in that movie. It's a very dark film. It's it's basically a film that makes you think. It has a deeper message, and I was like pretty nervous when especially my dad would see it, and here I'm like cursing and swearing, and it's like okay, and it's like in Hindi, so it's not even in English.
Right.
But almost like which was very surprising was my uncle. He called me. I call him Masterji. He called me and he said to me, he said I watched the film, and he said I was very impressed. He said, we always stop our kids from doing what they want to do when they say they want to do it, and he said we should let them do what they want to do, because sometimes, that's what they're made to do. That's what they're good at. And it's like I was like pretty surprised. And then my dad was like, "Wow, it's really good." My in-laws were like very happy to see the film, and I was like, "Wow." They said it's only acting. You don't curse like that like every single day. Like even certain one like curse word I refused. I was like telling the director I don't want to say it. I said, "Sounds so weird." He said, "Well, Rani, what could you said it? He showed me a scene." I'm like, okay. I said just the way he told me to say it, and I was like, okay. But I guess I said, okay, he wants that, so I'll just do that. So sometimes you go by the director's vision, not what your vision is.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
The
So
director knows the whole thing. So
yeah.
So now they are happy. Your parents are happy now.
Yeah, they're happy.
They're happy now. So the end of the movie was happy ending, right?
No, actually, it's not. It's not. Well, it is a dark film, and it's basically like if we don't find the truth, each one of us dies. We're in one little warehouse, and so.
No, I mean your acting career. See, they were against your acting before, right?
Well, I don't know if they were. I think they did not realize that was really what I wanted to do,
Okay.
and like I think sometimes you don't realize that because you come from India, you just don't,
Right.
just don't know, and then. Once they realize, that's what I'm going to do now, and
Right.
they're like, okay, they're just like, okay, she's not doing anything like off. Because, I mean, in India, if I try to go, like, not being from any film industry, no members there,
difficult.
it's very difficult. So
Yes.
imagine what I would have gone through.
Right.
In fact, just recently I was online on Facebook and somebody asked me, oh, there's a casting call. And I was like, okay. So she said, oh, well, I'm doing a Tamil film, I'm like, okay. So I just go ahead and I just look at it and I'm like, okay, I look at the casting. So I say, when are you going to shoot? When are you planning to shoot? Because this is when I'm going to India. I'm just asking her questions. So she said, did you read the whole thing? I said, oh. I said, what? And she goes, here it says, this is what I thought the word meant. She said, you have to be she said, the decision will be made in the audition,
Right.
and you have to be fully compromised.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, she said, do you know what compromise means? I said, yeah, well, what I think is, it's in my mind, what I'm thinking is, you decide that you might not take the money, or, how sometimes the ad directors will ask you not to
Right.
get money because they want you to spend more on distribution or whatever. So I said, that's what it probably was. It meant that I'll agree to, whatever the terms will be. She goes, no, it means, whatever the industry asks you to, like what the director wants to do with you. I said, what? I said, no. I said, I'm totally fine with what I'm doing here. And I said, no, I'll stay out of it.
This in India.
This is in India. So, I mean, it does happen. I've heard about it.
Yes.
It's like, it's not like you hear about it, but this is the first time I was like able to like actually hear it for the first time, like in the things. I was like, wow, it's like very interesting. That I'll get a role, if I'm willing to compromise myself. I'm like, okay, no, that's it. I'm like totally fine. And that's one of the reasons, I just feel like that's not for me, like in that field. And I'm sure if I was younger, who knows where I would have gone. And I think my parents had the right thinking.
Right.
Because, they were just thinking the way what they had heard. It's not like, because I don't have a family member who works there, it's like,
Right.
so, I mean, as a woman, it's much harder. So
It's very difficult.
Yeah,
as a woman.
so-
Yes.
so-
Yep.
So yeah, but so I'm happy. I'm doing my independent stuff. I'm happy. I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do. And it's like it's
That is
easier.
more important than anything else. You're happy,
Yeah.
right? That's more important.
So
So last, before we end, we want to hear you singing something, whatever you like.
you want me
one
to
line.
go classical or?
Whatever you like, one line.
I didn't plan that, but okay, I have a sore throat too. But I'll do classical.
Okay.
Okay, it's Rag Desh.
Okay.
Mihare ban ban dar dar murla bole meha bocharan barse mehare. Small short thing.
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
A very deep voice. It's a good voice, actually.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for interviewing me.
No
And
problem.
namaste too.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any question, comments, you can email me at rajmitv@gmail.com. That's again rajmitv@gmail.com. You can watch our prior shows on YouTube at youtube.com/Infosys International. Again, that's youtube.com/Infosys International. Until next time, have a great week.